Hello everyone and welcome to Paganini's Secrets. I learned this from my teacher Ruggiero Ricci, who told me that Paganini, years after he wrote his 24 Caprices, said, "I have a secret." Paganini never revealed his secret, but he did leave two clues. He said there's only one position and there's only one scale. Ruggiero Ricci spent his life carefully analysing Paganini's compositions, his fingerings, and carefully studied paintings of Paganini and managed to solve the mystery. Unlike Paganini, Ricci did not take his knowledge into his grave, but spent decades teaching his students the secret that Paganini had, and also wrote 2 books on the subject, Left-Hand Violin Technique and Ricci on Lysander. Ricci considered Paganini's secret to being a shortcut to left-hand violin technique, consisting of developing a highly trained ear and a one-finger or glissando scale system. This technique was used by Paganini, by Ernst, Vieuxtemps and Wieniawski in the pre-chin rest era, where the violin was held differently. Before one had a chin rest, one had to hold the violin with one's hand. So moving just a finger instead of the whole hand and arm was necessary, because if I don't have a chin rest, I have to move around the violin like this. It's only with a chin rest that it became possible even to move in the way violin technique is taught nowadays, moving the whole arm. So before one had the chin rest, one had to hold the violin with one's hand and find one's way around the fingerboard in constant contact with the instrument. Moving just the finger instead of the whole hand, thumb and arm is not just a much smaller movement, but it's also a lot easier to control. Moving the same finger several times in succession is a separate technique from the conventional violin technique, which involves shifting and needs to be learnt and practiced. Glissando scales, scales played with one finger, do not only develop this technique, but they also provide an organized system for learning the fingerboard. These glissando scales, scales played with one finger, are also excellent for training the ear, because we have shrinking semitones as we go up the fingerboard, and practicing them trains the ear. So this is also a shortcut to a highly trained ear, which is ultimately the key of a good left-hand technique. So remembering the 2 clues that Paganini left us, there's only one position, refers to a fixed position of the left hand, where the actual fixed base from which we measure our distances from is the thumb staying in one position. The other clue, there's only one scale, refers to the chromatic Lysander scale played with one finger, which Paganini uses all the time, all over his repertoire. You find it in his 24 Caprices, in his concerti, in all sorts of pieces he wrote. A violin string has about 25 shrinking semitones as you move up the fingerboard. And the best way to learn these distances is to train your ear to recognize these semitones and to learn the distances by practicing a chromatic glissando scale, moving one finger in succession. I'll give you an example of how much of a shortcut this technique actually is. Right now I'm studying Isaïe's 6th Sonata, and on the last page there's a part which I would not be able to play without using this technique, because it consists of fingered chromatic sixths and it's more difficult to play than it is to pronounce, fingered chromatic octaves, and all of that means that one is shifting all the time. You see, I can't do it, and there's countless shifts. No way would I be able to get that secure enough in tempo to be able to play it. No chance. However, using Paganini's glissando technique, with the help of many lessons of Ruggiero Ricci and countless hours of practicing the glissando technique, this bit actually becomes more playable. I'll have to show you this way around so that you can see my thumb. Now I move my thumb into 5th position and reach down. You see, my thumb was in 5th position here the whole time, excepting right at the end where I went down into 1st position, because that's where I go on. So you see, just by having the thumb in one fixed position, it is so much easier to measure the exact distances, and by using the fingers which are already down, it's also so much easier to play, plus it sounds so much better if one doesn't have these shifts all the time. So in spite of this still being work in progress, and I really do need to still practice this a lot because it's a difficult piece, it becomes playable. With the conventional technique, shifting all the time, I have no chance of mastering that. Not happening, not in my case. But using this glissando technique is literally a shortcut. And the music of Paganini, Isai, Ernst, Wieniawski, Vietang is full of countless examples of this sort. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to learn this technique and how to practice it. It's actually not very difficult. At first it seems a bit strange because one's not used to reaching down like this. And there are a few limitations for people with small hands like me, because I have to move my thumb between 3rd and 5th position sometimes, because I can't keep it in 3rd position and reach all the way up here if I have more than 2 fingers that need to play. So I have to go into 5th position. So there are some small modifications. Ruggiero Ricci was able to play on the entire fingerboard, keeping his thumb in 3rd position. Perlman is also a good example of this. He plays like that too. So other than that, it's quite simple to learn because it's very self-correcting. It trains the ear, and it's actually quite comfortable once you get used to reaching down like that. So in the next video, I'll show you how you can start learning Paganini's secret.